Hi, I'm Bernadette Joy. In 2014, I took out $72,000 in student loans to pay for grad school. Less than 2 years later, I made my final payment. Now I'm on a mission to help others save $1 million of debt by showing how you can save money, make money, and earn the lifestyle you love. You'll hear from friends and experts that helped me on my debt-free journey. Welcome to the Bernadette Joy Podcast. Crush This Debt, Season 2. Hi, this is Bernadette from Crush This Debt. And today we have a special episode because we're going to talk with my good friend Mike here about his debt-free journey and some tips and tools that he might have for you on what you can implement on your own debt-free journey. So thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you might have seen Mike in another episode. He was here talking about contracting, and we actually met because he helped me with my kitchen renovation 4 years ago when I was not on a debt-free journey. I was actually very much about spending as much money as possible, including my kitchen renovation. That's right. And since then, we've both had our own separate journeys. We've both had corporate jobs that we've left. We both started separate businesses, and then he's created an extra human or two in his family. And so I wanted to share his story about what he's been up to and see what you might take away from it. So tell me a little bit more about you and your story. Yeah, sure. So
college didn't work out for me. So I was lucky enough to not have college loan debt.
Oh, man.
We'll get to that. Yeah. We'll get to that. Because I found my own way to spend it. But so I got a job in corporate America early. I was young, and I was 19, making like 55 or 60 grand a year. And
that's a lot of money for a 19-year-old.
It's a lot of money for a lot of people. But I blew it. I was young and dumb, and I had built up some credit card debt. The one good thing I did was when I was 18, going on 19, I bought a house. I was like, I don't want to rent. I was moving out of my parents' house.
What 18-year-old buys a house?
One that's parents didn't agree with the fact that he wasn't going back to college. So it was I had to move out, and I was like, I was making good money. I was actually putting some money towards my 401k at that time, but I was blowing a lot of it, and I was like living at home, and I'm like, I gotta do something. So I bought a townhouse. Actually, ironically, so that was 2006, 2007. I just sold it yesterday.
What?
Yeah. So it's a very, very full circle, but
for those of you listening in the future, in 2040, it's 2018 today.
It's 2018. Yeah, it's fall 2018. I just sold it yesterday, so I had it almost 12 years. But anyway, so did that. Kind of went through my corporate career, made good money. Was still living, like, I went from 60 to 70. When I left Verizon, I was making like 120. And I found a way to spend at my limit every month. I think a lot of people do. It doesn't happen if you're making 60 grand. I'll go, if I make twice as much, I'll be in a much better place. But you slowly trickle to get there, and you keep spending at your limit.
Lifestyle creep.
Creep. Yeah, it's real. And if you don't catch it, if you take any type of hit back, it's a challenge. Yeah. It's a challenge. Well, because I was a salesperson, and I got paid my commission once a month. And it was like credit card. Don't worry, there's a big commission check coming. Well, that like 1 month, you don't get a big commission check. It starts to kind of add up, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then, okay, so fast forward, met my wife, and got engaged. Before we got married, I found out. So my wife was in the college at that point. I found out she had about $130,000 in student loan.
Oh, I'm sure you were thrilled about that.
It was a serious conversation of personally, do I marry this person? I have no student debt. She doesn't have a job, right? And I'm about to marry into $130,000 in debt. And it was a serious conversation. We're blessed. She's an amazing woman. I made the right decision. We got married. We have 2 beautiful children now, and we've gone through our own little debt challenge. So in the previous episode, we talked about how I left corporate America to help the smaller company. Well, in that transition, we made some massive life decisions. So I took about a $70,000 pay cut to go from corporate America to this smaller world. And that's a kick in the nuts. Really though, I'm kind of doing whatever I want. It was nothing for going out to eat a lot. We didn't have kids at the time. I mean, we were eating and drinking our way through 80 grand a year. And it was disgusting looking back now. But that was a transition that really is going to set us up for where we are now and for the future, because we had to make some serious lifestyle changes. Yeah. We had to get serious about our income. We had to get serious about our debt and our bills and how we did that. And so we made it through about 3 years of that level income. My wife started making a little bit more, but I was still in that like $50,000 to $60,000 range. And we kept things kind of at the same debt level about in that transition, which is crazy to us because like that just shows how much money we were wasting. It's like $70,000 less, and we did not accrue more debt, which it was a lot of debt. But like, I mean, it was probably at that time, we were still well over $100,000 in student loan debt. We had a car, with that payment. We had credit card debt, probably in the $20,000 to $30,000 range. And like we paid enough and lived at a lifestyle that kept us at that break even. Like we were paying our bills, but like nothing was going down.
You weren't adding more to the pile.
No, we weren't adding more to the pile. And then one of the biggest decisions I made, I think me and my wife made, was like, if this is going to be our lives, we need to find ways to make more money. And I think one of my biggest tips to people, if you're in a vision of getting rid of debt, having a side hustle is extremely important. It's I can't explain it, and you don't need to make a lot of money. Like if you made an extra $100 a week, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that cushion, that ability to like have something happen, an emergency happen, a car issue, and having some funds that you're not like living at a break-even point anymore, that's an amazing thing. So we decided we're going to start getting serious about our financial situation, and we spent 3 or 4 years to today trying to figure out what worked for us, because like we didn't want to talk about it. And so we started with like some spreadsheets. We started with like trying to use like different apps for budgeting, and what we got in the habit of is creating a budget for the month. But here's like, I guess, the second tip. We created a budget for the month but didn't time it out properly. And it was like, okay, we want to put this amount to the credit card and we want to put this amount to student loan debt, but we didn't really know when. So we'd be like, we look at our account. Oh, it's Friday. There's money. Let's pay this off or make this extra payment. And then it's like, well, we forgot about the bill due on Tuesday. And now we're back in the same circle.
Yeah.
So what we did is we created a monthly spreadsheet where we kind of do a full cash flow of what dates is money coming in and then what dates is money going out. So we can like push that payment a week and still be able to make it, but it doesn't affect everything else throughout the whole month. And that's what we did. We started doing that about earlier this year. And so that coupled with we are making money again. So my side hustle's taken off, switched to a different company, Daniel Enterprises, making more money. We paid off $110,000 in debt this year.
110,000. 6 figures of debt in a year.
And our lifestyle didn't change that much, right? And it's super, like, to be fair, some of that was accrued this year. Like, it wasn't all previous. Like, we had a second child. I started a second business. Yeah. Like, so we spent some money. So there's things happening. We still took trips. But overall, like, I actually ran the numbers this morning. Between mortgages, paying off cars, and student loan debt, we've paid $110,000 this year. And
amazing.
It worked so well because, and it doesn't take a lot of time. People think like, oh my God, budgets, so much time. We sit down for 2 hours once a month to schedule the next month out. Yep. And then I sit down for about 20 minutes every Monday and just make sure things came out when they were supposed to, and this happened and that happened, and we track it in the spreadsheet. And it's made wonders. We use every dollar to create the budget buckets. Yep. And then so we like track transactions there, but then we use the spreadsheet to like make sure things are coming out at the right timing. And then the second thing we did that I think a lot of people struggle with is the small stuff that adds up to big stuff throughout the month. So we created an overhead budget, which is a weekly amount that like gas, parking, little expenditures, things here and there, because it's hard to track like a $15 Amazon purchase. Yeah. But like you can put it into the bucket, and then in the budget sheet, there's a weekly overhead number that we have to stay within. Okay, and that made it easier tracking the little things, because things add up. Little things here and there add up quick. Oh yeah, they for sure do. And it's easy to like not budget for them, because you don't think about like, my wife works uptown Charlotte, so she has to pay for parking every day when she goes up there. Like, where do you track that? Like, you don't track a parking budget. Yeah. But like having that overhead number that like all of these things fall, like like iTunes storage. Like we all pay for it. Like it's not a lot of money, but it adds up. Yeah. That with like Amazon purchases, grocery shopping, going out, like those all fall under our overhead. Like what it costs for us to like do business, live. Yeah. So like we have a set. That was the difference, because we got exhausted by the little details. Yeah. When we first started this journey, it was exhausting thinking about every little transaction here or there. And
it's overwhelming when you're first starting.
Yeah, right? Because like there's a lot of them. like it adds up. Like not only just the number like of how much, but how many transactions.
Well, especially if you're not being conscious of it when you're first starting and you're just swiping and swiping and swiping, you don't realize how much you're spending until you kind of look back and you say, "Oh my gosh!" Like, so it's really funny. Like some of the reason why I'm able to stay on budget is because I'm too lazy to track the transactions. So sometimes when I'm about to buy something, I'm like, do I really want to log this into my spreadsheet later? I don't really feel like it. So I just won't do it, which is like, just goes to show you how lazy I am.
That's great, yeah.
But what I love about everything that you've said is that what is great about this is that Mike, without even realizing it, he touched on so many things that is part of Crush This Debt. Crush This Debt, right? For Crush, there's each of these things count for something, right? And you touch on almost all of them. So C's, change your mindset, we clearly just talked about. And I love that, when you were thinking about starting a new business and you want to reprioritize, being able to not work for corporate America, that's what R is for, is redesign your life. Think about what you want your life to actually look like. And of course, it's including the kids and everything. Use a budget, which clearly he's doing. And then sacrificing and doing the hustle, right, is what I love about his story. And it resonates with me, is that we both started in these, corporate jobs. Same thing. I came out of college thinking, oh, I'm making pretty good money. And I was making 6 figures when I left my corporate job, and it was hard to make that transition when I decided to leap into entrepreneurial life full time. But because we were able to kind of think about, well, this is what we want for our long-term future, we can handle this for a couple of years.
Well, in the big picture, thinking of it too, though, and people get attached to the material side of what they own, right? And when you think about, like, when we're looking at the decision for the corporate America, me and my wife sat down, we had just built a house. We were kind of like on pace with our dreams of what we were trying to accomplish. And I was like, I want to like put a major hole in this, okay? And we talked about like, what's worst case scenario here? Like if this were to fail, if I leave this company for this, like I went from a $70 billion company to a company that did $200,000 a year in gross sales when I started with New Leaf, right? And it's like, they really can't afford to pay me what they're talking about. Like I have to go out and sell a bunch of stuff for them to be able to afford the little bit they're agreeing to pay me.
Yeah.
And we were like, what's worst case here? If this fails, if this blows up and completely crashes, what's worst case? Well, we lose the house. We may lose our cars. Then what? Would we find somewhere to sleep? Yeah. Would I find a way to make money again? Yeah. Like, do you have a job? Yeah. Like, do we have people who care about us? Yes. So what's worst case? We lose the house?
Yeah.
What's best case? Here's this long list of best case scenarios of like, here's everything that can go well if I make this decision. Short-term loss, long-term gain.
Yeah.
I'll make more money this year than I ever made at Verizon. Like, and we're only 4 years removed.
Yeah.
Which is not that much time.
If you think about it, right? 4 years ago, did you picture, you'd be where you're at
now?
I
couldn't imagine the life I have right now.
Isn't that amazing?
I actually was having a conversation with a guy the other day. Like, if I would have put my life on, like, what am I looking forward to in my early 30s? Like, I pretty much am there. Like, I got a new car. I got a Suburban.
Yeah.
I always wanted a big SUV. I don't know why, but I have it. I joined a country club.
Yeah.
We're paying off debt. I have 2 beautiful children. My wife has a good job. Like, she works at Bank of America now. So it's like, the sacrifice is never as dangerous as you think it is, and there's always more upside than you can imagine.
And it's not forever.
Nothing's forever.
Right?
And if you're willing to hustle, I actually had no idea Crush This
I know, that's why I love this so much.
I had no idea.
He literally had no idea that was it, and he hit all of it. I was like, thank you.
I had no idea. She did not pay me for that. Like, this was not rehearsed. But like, that hustle is undervalued significantly because nothing is going to happen tomorrow the way you want it to, but you can outwork those issues and those struggles. Like, it was a terrible year for me to do some of the things I did. Like, join a country club, no time to play golf. Start a second business, having a second child, running a full-time job. Like, I took Daniel Enterprises, as a group, we grew from a little over 2 million. We'll do 5 million this year.
Wow.
That is a massive growth in the construction industry. Like, it's a lot of work. But, like, if you're just willing to do the work, like, that's the biggest thing is, and, like, I have friends now, like, I can't believe you budget and track every transaction. Like, I'm talking, like, less than 5 hours a month helps me not be in debt.
Helps pay $110,000 worth of debt in a year. And
so, like, we haven't saved a lot. Like, I probably have, I'll be honest, about $10,000 in savings right now, and, like, half of that is for the kids. And we have not been dedicating to our retirement as much, but my savings plan right now is the amount of interest I'm going to save by not paying off the student loan debt.
Absolutely.
Like, we've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars already because, like, you're talking like 30 years of payments.
Yeah.
It adds up.
No, absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And even though you say that, oh, it's not a ton of savings, $10,000, but you have an emergency fund built in place, which a lot of people don't even have. I can't tell you how many people have talked to me and said, oh, I had this, my car blew up yesterday, I'm screwed. And it's like, for us, our bathroom exploded a couple of weeks ago. And it sucked, but it was no sweat for us because we built up. You're prepared. We're prepared for it. And so, you're on your way to, lots more savings. And like you said, you're saving a ton of money on the student loan debt. And I still can't fathom the fact that you did, 6 figures in a year. So that's awesome. So I want to say one thing before we sign off here. If you're out there going, oh, well, he just made more money and that's why he paid off debt. Mm-hmm. If I would have not changed my lifestyle like we did 3 years ago, it would not have been possible. Like, yes, I made more money, which made the number bigger because we had a shit ton of debt to get rid of. But ultimately, what really changed, what made that possible this year, yes, we made more money. But realistically, we had the foundation in place. So when we did make more money, we knew what to do with it. So even if you don't have a big pay raise in your future, I'm just barely getting by, start the process of tracking it. And you'll be amazed at what you'll be able to accomplish because your future is still ahead of you and you're going to make more money. I promise you. It's going to happen, and knowing what to do with it when you get it was a big change for us, and it's something you can do too. Oh my gosh, I'm done. Just drop the mic. We're done. So if you want to learn more about Mike's story, you can hear more on our podcast and on crushthesdebt.com. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. If you loved what you heard, please be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Want to join our Crush This Debt campaign to pay off $1 million of debt? You can also learn more about our goal, tips, and today's guest on crushthesdebt.com, our YouTube channel, and social media at Crush This Debt. See you next time.